All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Web Development 1100 C# programming class, I've been going through a series, or creating a series of videos. Most of them have been based off of the PowerPoint slides for the textbook we'll be using for the class, and that's Murox C# 8th edition. All right, but I've also been working on this payroll program throughout this. And it's funny because I said this will be a simple, but it's now it must be close to 500 lines, so I don't know if it's that simple anymore. I came in here, kept all of the constants that I had, added an age and an age string, which we'll look at in a bit. These were things to see whether the month of the day has changed, although it says I'm not using them. And I created 4 string arrays. The first one, as it says, should represent the months January, March, May, July, August, October, and December, because those 7 months, those 7 months each have 31 days in them. And then I made another array called days 30 that has the 1 through 30, and that is because 4 months of the year, April, June, September, and November, have 30 days. Then I made another one called days 28, because if it's not a leap year, there are 28 days in February. Finally, I made another one called days 29, because if it is February and it's a leap year, there should be 29 days. Okay? All right. Then I came in, and what I had been doing in here is I had been just asking for a birth date, period. And it was put in as part of a text field. But now I've broken it down so that there are 3 drop-down lists in here. All right. So we input the first name, and it's in a try-catch block. And if we left it blank, we throw an argument exception, show an error, that no first name was input. Even though it's empty already, reset the text to nothing, set the focus, and return false. Otherwise, we return true. Then we do the same thing, but with last name. So again, we come in here, and we put it in a try-catch block, and if the last name is empty, we throw an argument exception, and we go down and we put no last name input, set the focus, etc., return false, otherwise we return true. All right, then next, we look at the hours worked. And as you can see for that, it's a little longer routine, not a lot longer, but it's a little longer routine. All right, there's our hours. So we come in here and we say that the hours is equal to whatever we put in that text box. All right. And then we've got our result. So we try parse, and we throw it into this hours variable right here. And if either we couldn't parse it, meaning that it was non-numeric or blank, or if the hours were less than 0, or if the hours were greater than 84, we throw an argument out of range exception. Come down here and say hours worked empty or out of range. We again clear it. We set the focus, we return false, otherwise we return true. Finally, we come in and we do the same kind of thing with hourly rate. Now, we only call these things one after the other if everything previous to it passed. And if it doesn't, we basically stop right there. Okay? All right. So very similar to what you just saw. All right. We grab what was in there. We attempt to parse it. If we can parse it, we put it into rate. Then we check, and if either we couldn't parse it, or the rate was less than 0, or the rate was greater than 99.99, we throw an argument out of range exception that says the hourly rate was empty or out of range, clear it and set the focus. Otherwise, we're going to return true. Now, before we return true here, we call calculate gross pay. All right. Now, what we could have done right here, let's see. is I guess I could have kept going up here. All right, so if keep going, otherwise return. So if all that worked, let's try that. So I'm going to say again, if keep going, that means that everything that was in there, all the inputs that we had put in worked. So we will call calculate gross pay. All right. And that means that we can, it doesn't like something in here. No, it's okay. So where we called calculate gross pay right here, I'm going to just get rid of that. All right, we return true, so we're going to end up calling it. All right. Now, when we calculate the gross pay, hours is going to be what we put in there. We don't have to do a try parse because we've already checked it. Same with rate. All right, so those should be good. And then we've got our gross figure right here. All right, now this gross, I am going to end up passing it on to our update final totals. And that's why we've got it in here like this. I could have also made it global, and then we wouldn't have had to worry about passing it. But, so there was a first name, a last name, and hours, etc. So we'll calculate. If the hours that we put in was less than or equal to 40, the gross is simply the hours times the rate. Otherwise, the gross is, this is our straight time, 40 times their rate, plus, so if they work 50 hours, it'd be 50 minus 40, or 10 hours, times their regular rate, times 1.5. All right, then we set the gross. This all seems to be working okay. And we call update final totals. Okay. And finally, we call show this employee's info. In fact, I think I had these reversed before. I'm going to put them back like this because these are both things for the individual employee. Then we're going to update the final totals. Now, when we call update final totals, for some reason, and I don't know why, probably simple, but I don't know what it is offhand, it's setting it for the first person, and then it's basically stripping it off. In other words, it's not holding those values. And I think it's because these values here should have all been global. So let me put those up here. I am not an advocate at all of global variables, but there are some times, when it's not necessarily a bad thing. So we're going to have these right here. Total employees, all right, etc. So we've got all that. Now, I think that's why I wasn't getting my totals to update every time, but we'll find out in a moment. So we're updating our total employees, our total gross, our average gross, and we're filling in those. That all looks good. Then under show employee info, now I have not yet gone through what we actually have to do for, I'm going to comment this out. All right. In show employee info, it's going to fill up a list box that we put off on the side here. It's going to fill this up. All right. So that's going to fill all that up. I'm not going to go over that right now. All right, here's our clear button, which clears everything. And one thing I didn't clear in here was the list box. All right, so that should clear that as well. Our exit, our show message, if we had any kind of errors, I put in a very simple help system in here, and it's very simple. It says, assume the company was founded there, so the earliest hire date, we're not even using the hire date anymore, so I can get rid of that. So assume that an employee must be assume that an employee must have a birth date of must be 21 years or older to work there. All right, so about our employees, we just put a comma there, which is going to be wrong. So this is going to say birth date. Like that. That should fix that. There we go. All right, and this is where I started having problems. What I wanted to do was I wanted to set these up. Let me save this. So that if in here I had put in a value, and these values I hard-coded in as 0, 1 through 12. And the ones in here I hard-coded in as 1958 to 2002. Why those dates? All right, because I said you basically are going to have to retire when you're 65. So that was the ages between 21 and 65. All right, so for this help, I should say, assume that an employee must be a minimum of 21 years of age to work here. And employees must retire at 65 years of age. Looks like I missed a semicolon. There we go. So just so you see that, if I come over here and click help, whoa, okay, about our employees, yeah, that doesn't look very good, does it? Let's fix that. These are reversed. There we go. All right, see if that fixed it. All right, about our employees, assume that an employee must be a minimum of 21 years of age to work here, and employees must retire at 65 years of age. Okay, we didn't have to do that. That's just the way I set it up. That's all. All right, and that period will go here. All right, so pretty much all that worked, but this is where I started having problems. All right, so this is the month changed. This is the year changed. Okay, now what I wanted to do basically in here, all right, if you look in here, and I grabbed this off the internet, I'm not going to lie to you, right here. All right, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to grab the selected index, and I wanted to grab the selected text from here. And the text should be whatever they had chosen in the combo box. I really don't even need the selected index to my knowledge. All right, I think I can get it out of there and I can get it out of here. All right, then I wanted to show that selected text. So in other words, if I picked March, okay, it should show 3. And then I'm or 03, and then I'm passing that 03 in. In here, it's the same thing, but with a year. All right. So if I come in here and again, if I choose in here, 2000, should say selected text equal 2000, and that's what I'm passing. All right. Now that I look at it, I probably don't even need this because I don't think I'm using text anymore. And see, the thing is, if I'm not using something, I just as soon get it out of here. So let's grab this and comment it out because I don't think we need it. And let's comment this out. And now I think I can just call this like this. So I had done this a bunch of different ways, as you can possibly see right here. Now, I won't need this anymore, so I can get rid of that. That'll fix one error right here, but there's still one here. So we're going to fix that one right now. Again, I don't need this. And in here, I can leave this blank. And do that. All right. So when I call this configure day combo box, that's what I want to do. So anytime I change this or I change this, I want to reconfigure that. So this is the month, that's the day, that's the year. All right. So I come in here and I say, hey, if either one of these are not set, so if I don't have anything chosen at all for the month, or I don't have anything at all chosen for the year, or both, I'm just going to return. There's nothing else to do. All right. Then I made a bunch of variables in here. So CBO year equals selected text. So I think I can do this. Like that. And for the month, I'm going to do the same thing. Now I use selected item here, but let's see if we can make that selected text as well. All right, so we've got the year and the month. Of course, I got to spell correctly. Okay, now I've got here BY is to take this and parse it. So again, let's just bring this over. And do that right here. All right, so we don't need this anymore. And for this, we're going to do the same kind of thing. All right. So now I hopefully have set the year and the month. But there's nothing to say I haven't set the day yet. All right. So what I want to do, as it says, is I want to clear out anything that might happen to have been in that day combo box. Then I want to come in and make some checks. All right. And I'm looking at this, and I'm checking first if the birth month is 2 and it's a leap year. I'm doing all this, otherwise I'm doing all this. What I'm wondering is if I can just come in here and add a case 2 down here. So this is February, right? So in other words, I'm just going to see if I can I put comments in all these? January, March, May, July, August, October, and finally December. Okay, so that's going to handle those days. If it's one of those months, so if I've chosen a month, and that's BM, BM is the integer that we put in there. Okay, I think we actually could put a 0 here. It wouldn't hurt anything. Like that. We could do that. All right. But if that's the case, we want to fill in the day with our 31 days and then break. If it's here, that means, in fact, let's put the zeros in here. So I'm a little squirrely about some of this stuff that I do. All right, so that's those. This, again, will be April. June, September, and November. And if those cases, those are the 4 months with 30 days. So here we're filling the array with 0, 1 through 31. Here we're filling it with 0, 1 through 30. All right, now if it's 2, let me just put a break in here. All right. I'm going to just grab everything that I have in here. Up to there, I believe. Right there. Now this is going to give me an error. Don't worry about it. We'll fix this in a minute. All right. Okay. So now, after I clear this, I'm going to come up and immediately do my switch. And we can move all of this over. I'm doing a little manual refactoring here. All right. So it doesn't like something I've done here, and that's okay. We'll figure it out right away. So switch on the birth month. If either the birth month or the year were empty, we're going to return. All right, so if we get down to here, they both had values in them. All right, so the birth year is going to be whatever value was in there for the year and the month, whatever value is in there for the month. All right, and then we turn them into integers, clear out the day combo box, and then we switch. As I told you before, if it's one of these 7, we should fill it up with 31 days and break. All right, if it's one of these four, we should fill it up with 30 days and then break. Finally, if it's 2, we want to check first to see if it's a leap year. Okay? In fact, we don't even have to check for this if BM equal 2 because it's case 2 already. So again, I'm just coming in here and cleaning this up. So I now cannot fall out a switch, so I must have removed the break statement from here. Okay, and it is. There. Okay, so if it's a leap year, we go in and we fill this up with 29 days. Otherwise, we know it's not a leap year. So this probably should work if it's just an else. And we fill it up with 28 days. Okay. All right. And if for some reason this should never be hit, but if I get into it like that, boom, it's just going to break out of there. All right. Now, it's giving me an error, and it's telling me that I've already finished this routine. I don't need that. Like I said, my errors will work their way out as I work my way down here. So if for some reason any of these were empty, so I had not yet chosen a month or a day or a year, I just return. Otherwise, I come through here, and this is where I will want to do my calculation for my age. All right, and I'm having some problems with this. It's not even calling this. All right, so if any of these are empty, boom, it's returning. Okay, but so otherwise, it should be showing me the year, it should be showing me the month, and it should be showing me the day. All right, and then I'm putting together the year, for example, 2023, the month, and notice I'm using this because I want that leading 0. All right, so month, month, day, day. And I'm putting that into a variable called all3. All right, and I'm doing the same calculation I did before. All right, and the only other thing that's in here is in my load. I'm making sure that when I start, nothing is selected. But what you'll see in here now, and it looks like I still had no errors. That's always good. Well, let's run this. Okay, so I'll come in and I'll put in me. And let's assume that I'm 40 years old. All right, so I'll be 41 this year. So this year is 2024, and I'm going to subtract from that 41. So we're going to assume that 1983 is the year I was born. All right, let's fill in everything else here first. All right, in fact, I might end up moving that down. It might be a better idea. So the hours worked, we'll say 40. The hourly rate, we'll say 25. All right, now we're going to come in here, and I'm going to say that my birthday is 12 for December 1983. Now, it doesn't like something here. It says input string was not in the correct format. Well, that ain't good. So it doesn't appear to like this. What if I change this to selected item? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, if I do it selected item, I've got to say dot toString. Okay, that actually should work. Let's do both of these. To selected item dot toString. Okay, and let me stop the run and start the run again. Let's do one thing first, and that is let's move this right here down after this. So I'm going to grab this. Let's unlock the controls. And I'm just going to move them over here for now. Don't worry, we'll move them back where they belong in just a second. All right, then I'm going to take all of these and I'm going to move them up. Finally, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to move each one of these over. Now, since I've done that, I'm going to reset my tab order as well. All right, so File, Save All. File, Save All. Get rid of that. File, Save All. All right, and then View. Click over an empty space, View Tab Order. And we'll make that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We'll make that 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. All right, do another View Tab Order to get those to go away. All right, looks like this has to be moved up a little bit. So relock the form. Okay, everything I think now is okay. So let's try this again. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to put in Jeff Scott. I'll say I have insurance. The number of hours I worked, let's make it 50, and let's say 20. So my birth date, I'm going to assume it's the end of the year. So it is 12. And let's say I was born, I don't know, in 59. I'm making this up. So this should show here 1 to 31. And it does. So that's good. So I'm going to actually choose the 31st. Okay? And now I'm going to click Calculate. All right? So there's a problem. Something's screwed up. How do I know that? Well, this is done. That's all okay. But it should be showing me my stuff over here. Now, if I calculate again, good. Okay, my totals are finally working now. They weren't before. But there's something wrong in here, or I'm not calling this. So let's go, and at the bottom, and I may not be calling it. So let's go, and where I'm printing all this stuff out, it is called Show This Employee's Info. So let's get down to the bottom here after we have figured out the age, or hopefully after we have figured out the age and figured it out correctly. All right. Now we're going to come in and we're going to call Show This Employee's Info. Okay, let's see what happens, if anything. So File, Save All. And again, it'll be Jeff Scott. I will say I have insurance. We'll say that I worked 40 hours at $25 an hour, meaning I should make $1,000. And my birth date, again, I'll set it to, let's try 11 and 76. I don't know. This should, since it's 11, it should go 1 to 30. And it is. We'll say the 30th. All right, click Calculate. And again, something is screwed up in here because it is not printing. I'm calling Show This Employee's Info. All right, but I don't think this is getting hit for some reason. So let's check in here. I'm going to put in here just a message box dot show, and I'll say one or more fields, one or more combo boxes are empty. All right, that's all I'm putting in there. I don't care about anything else. So let's stop and run this again. And of course, I'm already up. All right, so let's run this again. Let's try John Doe. John doesn't have insurance, worked 30 hours, makes $30 an hour, and his birthday will be, let's give him a, okay, 2/1974. And it immediately says one or more combo boxes is empty. So it's already trying to call this. 28, so 74 must not be a leap year. All right, now I'm going to click calculate. Okay, so the problem is it is going in right here. It's actually, the problem is it's doing what I want it to do. All right, and since one of these is empty, okay, since one of these is empty, it's returning and it's not calling it here. So what I want to do is I want to force that to be called. All right. Now, the problem is, even though I'm going back and I am adding in there, even though I am going back and I'm adding, it's still not recognizing that. It's jumping down at the wrong time. Now, this could be a real simple error in my life as a programmer and now as an instructor. A lot of times, the easiest errors are the ones that just jump right past me. All right, but for whatever reason, it's filling everything up, but it's not calling it the way that I want it to call it. So what I'm wondering is if instead of doing that here, if I pull this out, let's see, I'd have to be passing a lot of stuff in there then. So let's see. What I basically want to do is force all of this to happen. I want to force all that to happen. All right. And I'm wondering if I just do this right here. If I were to take this, I'm going to copy it. Now I'm going to comment it out, and I'm going to come down to the bottom here, and I'm going to write a new routine. Private void, and we're going to call it calculate age. Now, I'm going to get errors. Don't worry about that. See this B year it doesn't get. So this will have to be CBO year dot selected item. Let's try selected text dot to string. For all of these. Okay. Selected text dot to string. Oops, another plus there. And again, selected text dot to string. All right. And okay, Okay, there's all that. I don't really need a message box, but so now that is exactly what I want to do. All right, so this is calculate age. So what I'm doing here is one thing I want to do is at the beginning is if any of these are empty. All right, very similar to what I did up here. And actually, I may not end up needing any of this anymore. That's my hope. So I'm going to grab every bit of this. And I'm going to comment all of it out. Some of it already is, so it's double commented. Okay. Now this show this employee's info, I can actually put that down here. All right, now why am I getting those errors? Probably because I commented out a curly brace. That's usually the problem, but let's see. All right, so for all of these, after I've done this and I have filled it up, okay, after I've done each one of these, I want to just call calculate age. Isn't that what I called it? Calculate age. Well, something's goofed up here, but we'll figure it out in just a bit. And here as well. All right, well, this is goofed up. All right, let's fix all of this right now. Okay. All right. Now it doesn't like this, and it says must begin with uppercase characters. Pivot void calculate age. No idea why it would. I've never seen an error like that, but nope. All right, so again, I'm pretty sure that the problem that I'm having here is a problem with curly braces. All right. I had one too many curlies in there, so. Now this is very dangerous, as you know, writing stuff on the fly like this. Probably not the best idea in the world. Plus, it looks like, now if I get rid of this, okay, I know what the problem is. So this should all be tabbed over one. And so should this. All right. Well, I've got my calculate age in now, so let's see if this works. Or if I really screwed it up badly. And if I did, not good. All right, so Jane Doe. Jane has insurance. She worked 30 hours. She makes $50 an hour. And her birth date is May 10th of 1981. So May, there should be 30 days in here. It's showing me 31. Yeah, it should be 31. We'll say her birthday is May 28th. Okay? Calculate. It's doing all that, but it is not getting in here. Son of a gun. What that means is, I've got this show this employee's info. This must not be getting called. And we can figure that out. We could do a message box dot show, and calculate age was called. I do a lot of this kind of stuff when I'm debugging my own code. Probably not the best way to debug, but it's the way I'm showing you at least. All right, so let's come back in here. Mary White, we don't care about insurance right now. 30, and we'll say she was born. Now there, that is screwed up. All right. It says her age is 20, which of course you can see there is wrong. All right. Spelled White wrong, and it's not showing me my gross pay. Well, other than that, it's not too bad, huh? So it did say this was called. I believe it did. I'm going to say, hello there. Calculate age was called. Now, I do want to go back because it looked like in here I might have had a message box, and I don't need that. All right. There. All right. March, so there should be 31 days in here, and there are. All right. So I'm back to this now, and it's not showing me that line. So there is an error someplace in here. Didn't even show me this time this. So the calculate age. Now, which is weird because I was setting everything. And after I set this to 3 for March, it did fill it up with 31 days. After I chose that, so that filled out the days. I may not have had a year set yet. What I'm going to try to do now is take all those calls to calculate age out. And at the bottom of this, after I finish this, now I'm going to try to call calculate age. Okay. All right. Run it again. Bob Green. Of course, Bob has insurance. He worked 20 hours and he makes $30 an hour. And he was born July 10th. So July 10th of 2000. See, it's calling calculate age. That's the problem. It's calling it before I am adding this value here. And why it's giving me a 20, I don't know in there, and I don't really care. All right. It's grabbing those, maybe it's those first two characters. I don't even know. Again, I don't care. But for right now, most of the code in here is correct. And this I'm going to leave as a class exercise, and we're going to look at it later. And that's just because I've gone on here, and I've gone on for 50 minutes on this. All right, and there's still a problem with it. I'll try to look at it if I get time. Now I can keep adding, and notice I am adding more employees here, so that's good. And it does appear, so if I put in a 1, and I put in, let's say, 1990, it doesn't matter, but it should have 31 days, and it does. If I put in a 2, all right, it's giving me here 28 days. I believe like 1992 is probably a leap year. So is that giving me 29 days? It is, so that's working. 3 should be giving me 31 days in here, and that's correct. 4 should be giving me 30 days in here, and that's correct. 5 should be giving me 31 days, and it is. 6 should be giving me 30 days, and it is. 7 and 8 should both be giving me 31 days. There's 31. And there's 31. 9 should be giving me 30 days. And it is. 10 should be giving me 31 days. And it is. 11 should be giving me 30 days. And I'll eventually get all these message boxes out of there. And it is. And 12 should be giving me 31 days. Oops, somehow I didn't reset it to 12. 12 should be giving me 31 days. And it is. So right now, I do know that the months are all correct, including if I come in here and put in a leap year. All right, because that's 29, and for a non-leap year, I'm getting 28. So everything, this is being filled up correctly. The problem is in my calling sequence. All right, and what's happening is I evidently am I have to not call this until all 3 of these have been filled. All right. So there's only one more thing I could think of quickly at that, and that is here, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say if CBO month dot selected index is not equal to -1, and I'm just going to add all of them. CBO day dot selected index is not equal to -1, and CBO year dot selected index is not equal to -1. So if none of them are -1, that means they've all been set to something. So then I can call calculate age. I mean, whatever the problem is, I'm very close to solving it. Let's put it that way. All right. I don't think this is going to do it, but you never know. So one more time. Bob King. All right. Bob has insurance, worked 39 hours, makes $25 an hour, and he was a New Year's baby. So he was born 1/1 of 1975. All right, click calculate. See, it's not calling that. And again, it's the same problem I was mentioning to you before. It is calling it, but when it's calling it, it is calling it before I am setting I believe at least it's calling it before I am setting the stuff up that I want to set up. In other words, before I'm setting up the day. So I'm going to stop right here. We're going to go over this in class. If necessary, I'll give everybody a copy and we'll look at it together and we'll see if we can figure out what the problem is. All right. When I come back, which will be momentarily, when I come back though, I'm going to go over Chapter 12, and this is starting the section in classes. So this is going to be much different than what we've done before. All right. I'll be back with that shortly.